Hey there, mamas, and welcome back to the Knitting Mamas podcast, where we blend the art of knitting with the joy of mindful living. Nadine here, your host, and today we're diving into a topic that many of you might find relatable. At least I do hear this from quite a few people often when I talk about using meditation for mindfulness. And I do think meditation can be an incredible tool for relaxation and mindfulness, but it's not for everyone. And if sitting still and quiet for a period of time is just not your thing, I have 3 things today that might be a great substitution for you if you still want to achieve that mindful state. So let's dive in. Hey there, mama. Welcome to the Knitting Mamas podcast. If you're a mom who's tired of feeling exhausted and longing for some well-deserved self-care and rest, you are in the right place. I know that finding time for yourself as a busy mom can feel like an impossible puzzle. But guess what? You don't have to compromise anymore. Hi, I'm your host, Nadine Medina. And just like you, I am a mom, wife, and also a happy knitter. Over my 15 years of motherhood, I have been on a journey to discover how to truly recharge without the guilt and the never-ending quest for perfection. The secret? It's all about progress, not perfection. By focusing on simple routines, natural wellness solutions, and the cozy art of knitting, I found the path to feeling whole and content. And on this podcast, I am sharing it all with you so you can do the same. Are you ready to find simple solutions to set yourself free from mom guilt, to take more time for yourself to truly rest, and to use your knitting skills for a mindful routine that creates space in your life so you can breathe easier? Let's take a deep breath, grab those knitting needles, and say goodbye to mom stress. Together, we'll create a supportive community that encourages you to prioritize self-care while juggling all your responsibilities. Sound good? Let's do this. Hey, mamas. So welcome back to another episode. Happy Wednesday. If you're new to this podcast, welcome. We are talking about all things knitting, mindfulness, and how to slow down, release our stress as busy mamas with the help of the knitting craft. If you have been around at this podcast and you enjoy these episodes every week, I would love for you to leave a review and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. All right, let's dive in. I have you covered today if meditation is not your idea of relaxing or your idea of mindfulness. Again, I've heard from quite a few people over the years that they don't really think it's for them. There may be a couple of reasons why that's the case. We can dive into those in another episode because I truly believe that meditation is sometimes viewed as in a way that it shouldn't, right? And therefore people think it might not be for them. But just for this episode, I would love to go over a few things that can truly help you achieve a very similar effect as meditation would, but it's not meditation. So let's dive in. First up on our list is a walk without your phone. Yes, I said that. And I know that also means that you're not going to be listening to this podcast as you walk while I'm suggesting that, but there is a good reason for it. So here's the thing. You could do a walking meditation, which might be an alternative for you if you do not want to sit still and feel like, oh my gosh, I just have to be like in this Zen zone the entire time. But a walking meditation is actually quite different from a sitting meditation. It's a beautiful practice that combines movement with the mindfulness. And the idea is to focus on sensations, right? Like each step, sensation of your feet touching the ground or, just feeling the air on your skin. And you can also just turn a meditation on. Again, yeah, I said without the phone, but if you're using it for a meditation, then it's fine. But focusing on being present on your walk instead of listening to something that might distract you from the actual walk. And that's not me saying that listening to a podcast that you enjoy or an audiobook while you walk is not a great practice, but just a 10-minute walk that is more focused on the mindful aspect of it can really, really help you feel more calm and more relaxed. And then you can still do your walk where you listen to your favorite audiobook, your music, or a podcast. The other idea would be just leave your phone entirely or put it in your back pocket and leave your headphones at home because you might want to have a phone just to feel more safe on your walk, but leave the distractions behind and let yourself truly experience your surroundings. And that can have that same mindfulness and meditation effect that you would get in a more traditional meditation. So notice the colors, notice the smells, notice the breeze. Usually those are the things that you miss when you have your phone with you, when you listen to something. And this simple act of paying attention to what is going on around you and just slow down, right, can do wonders for your mental clarity and just overall well-being. I say this all the time. What we are missing today, nowadays, is times where we are not engaged in something, where we're not stimulated, your mind is not reacting to something or watching something, absorbing something, where we truly just do nothing. And imagine having a 10-minute time frame where you can just do that. Nothing is there to distract you. You just take your walk, you enjoy nature, you look around, and you just absorb that. And your thoughts can just run freely. And that is actually part of the meditation practice, is to let your thoughts go and then come back to the mindful part where you just enjoy what you're seeing. You look at the colors, you notice the air on your skin, things like that. And that practice alone will do so much for you in just 10 minutes. It's absolutely amazing. I just find it fascinating. Okay, let's move on. The next thing on the list is an activity that many of you might already do, and it is yoga. I personally love yoga just to slow down as well, but it's not quite the same as meditation, right? It's an incredible practice that does combine physical postures, breath control, and sort of meditation, but it's not exactly the same because you're still doing things with your body that during a more slowed down traditional meditation you won't do, right? So what yoga does is it helps connecting your body with your mind by using these poses and by doing these poses that require actually quite a bit of coordination and strength, right? Which is great for your body as well, good for flexibility, building strength, balance. But it also does promote the sense of inner peace and mindfulness because, and it's too funny because most times I feel like this during yoga, it's not like, oh, I'm going to be so mindful. It literally is like I have to focus so hard on holding these poses that I got nothing else that I can focus on in that moment, right? So you're encouraged to not only focus on your breath, but you do stay present in the moment just by virtue of the poses being very challenging. So, and I think that focus really helps quieting your mind, reduce stress, and it has a very similar effect to your traditional meditation that you would do if you sat on a pillow. And of course, the physical benefits of yoga are fantastic and such a bonus. So I honestly think if you haven't tried it yet and you're like, nope, I'm staying away from all this craziness, give yoga a try. I think you're going to love it. Now, finally, number 3, my personal favorite. You may have guessed it. Knitting. Yes. Knitting might not seem like a meditative practice at first glance, but it's a fantastic way to achieve a state of mindfulness. Now, this happens because, number 1, knitting is very repetitive, at least for most patterns. Once you have established a certain pattern and you begin your project, usually you have a lot of repetition happening, and that can actually really slow your mind down and feel really soothing to your entire just mental state, right? It's almost like a form of active meditation. And usually when you're knitting, you're fully engaged in the present moment. Like, especially if it's something, so there's 2 different types of knitting, if you will. One would be a pattern that is relatively complicated, where you have to pay attention. And this is then going similar to the yoga, where you have to focus on what you're doing so much that you don't think about your stresses and your worries and the things that still need to get done. You just are absorbed and engaged in that moment because you are really focusing. And I think that's such a benefit. The other one would be using a pattern that is more repetitive and very mindless, right? So that you don't have to really focus on that. But when you do that, you can then use this like rhythmic process and the repeating of the stitches to calm yourself down. You can let your thoughts go. You can do kind of like on the walk where you don't have your phone that distracts you. You can just sit there and enjoy a couple of minutes of peace and quiet while you're doing a very calming movement with your hands. And I really think it's a win-win for relaxation, but also, of course, it inspires your creativity. So I really think if you have not started knitting while listening to this podcast, I highly recommend it. I actually have a really cool playlist on YouTube that is free for you to watch. You can go ahead and grab that at theknittingmamas.com/knittingbeginners. I'm going to put this link in the show notes as well. So you can just go over there and just click the link and you'll get to that page immediately. So there you have it. 3 activities that can help you achieve a meditative state without traditional meditation. Go take a walk without your phone or with a walking meditation. Practice yoga or dive into a knitting project. And I think all 3 of those are going to benefit you, especially if you are one of those people who are like so about traditional meditation. Thanks for joining me today on the Knitting Mamas podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a 5-star review. That is how we reach more mamas who are in your shoes, who want to learn how to knit and who want to use knitting to release their stress, slow down, calm down, and just enjoy their life more. Talk to you next week. Hey mama, I hope you've soaked up some great ideas from today's episode. Remember, a happy mom makes for a happy fam. If today's chat hit home with you, it would mean the world if you could leave a 5-star written review on iTunes. Your review will help other moms discover our community and embrace guilt-free self-care. Also, if you're scrolling through Instagram, why not snap a screenshot of this episode for your stories? Don't forget to tag me at @theknittingmamas so that I can shout you out on my page as well. Plus, that way we can stay connected and spread the self-care magic. Oh, and have you heard about our cozy Facebook community? It's a guilt-free zone where we share relaxing routines, essential oils, and knitting adventures, and so much more. Come join us today at bit.ly/knittingmamas and let's unwind together. Until we chat again, take care, mama. And remember, looking after yourself is not selfish. It's essential for that balanced life. Catch you soon right here on the Knitting Mamas podcast.